Hello everyone, welcome back to the Good Vibes Show. I'm joined today by Laurie Luke. He's a singer, a songwriter, a multi-instrumentalist. He's just putting out a new single that we're going to talk about today. He has written all of the parts for that song and played all the parts, done the producing of the song himself, and that's no easy feat in itself, but he is also a survivor in recovery from a traumatic brain injury. He's been on the show before, so if you want to hear the full story of his recovery and the whole story of that, then I'll put the link to that show up here in here, so you can click up there, or you can click the link in the description below to jump ahead and listen to his backstory. But in today's episode, we're just going to talk about what's been happening in his life and his music in the recent future. So welcome, Laurie.
In the now.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me back on your show.
Awesome. So it's been a little while. Probably a year and a half, maybe.
Basically, I woke up 6 days later from a coma, and my whole life had changed. I'd had a brain hemorrhage. I do remember realising I couldn't move my hand, and I couldn't feel it, and I was hitting it with this hand, and it was just, you could put a knife through it and I wouldn't have known. Maybe they brought a guitar in and it wasn't good. I would have put myself at where someone who was learning guitar would be after 6 months maybe. And for me, who, I've played my entire life, it was scary.
Yeah, I think so.
You released that first single.
Yeah.
You're releasing a new single soon.
I am.
And let's hear what's happened on your journey.
Wow. I don't even know where to begin. So from the brain surgery and then kind of recuperating and realising what that is, it's kind of a life journey thing. So I'm living almost in two parallel worlds.
The music world and the recovery world?
No more.
Or is there another parallel world?
Well, there's which one? Just the invisible brain injury world and the world we're in now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very inspirational for people to hear that part of the struggle and the journey and that kind of thing. What's changed for you, I guess, in the last year that's kind of, you thought maybe this would be gone by now and it's still there, or maybe changes in your probably asking you too many questions.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
But I guess a lot of people, when they go through something like that, they feel like, I'll just be completely better when I'm better. Like as in it's going to be an end thing where this is better, but it's kind of like maybe it's better in some aspects but not in other aspects, or some things are still challenging you more than maybe you thought they
that's be. Absolutely right. It's kind of why I want to do these things and talk about it, because a lot of people don't know about it. I didn't know about it until it happened to me. And it's because it's, in a way, it's invisible. I still got like a pretty crazy scar on my head, hence the long hair.
Okay. Chicks did big scars though.
I don't know, it's a pretty big one. But I'm just trying to think. Everything's changed. You know? Everything. I think I would say music hasn't changed, but it has changed.
Yeah. What music means to you?
Yeah. Oh no, it's always had. My strongest roots have always been in music. Yep. It's always been the kind of. It's always there for me. Doesn't let me down. I can draw inspiration from it. I can create it. But it's brain injury kind of, it's not like a broken leg where people can see it and sign your cast and it's over in 6 weeks. It's this thing, if you grow your hair long and you get out and about and you do things like this, people, you're all good.
Yeah, okay.
But it's...
Would you want people to know that you're not all good, or do you...
See, this is the kind of weird invisible world I'm talking about when I go to... most of the time it's kind of easier not to say anything and just to... But then there's moments where if you feel like you're going to have a seizure or something like that, you kind of got to speak up and then explain yourself, and then it's a whole thing, you know. But
has that happened where you felt like you're going to have a seizure and you've got time to prepare
a lot?
people,
Yeah,
I've do something.
I had one on stage.
Wow.
When I was playing.
Okay. What did that look like?
Well, I don't think people knew, the guys in the band knew something was wrong, because it wasn't like seizures. You can have different seizures, I'm sure you know.
But other people wouldn't know. A lot of people think if you're having a seizure, you're just going to be like doing that.
Yeah.
Seizure,
so, well, that's like a grand mal seizure kind of thing, or the one that occurred on stage was a focal seizure, I think they call it.
So you just kind of spaced out.
Yeah, like I wasn't in my body. Half my body goes numb, and then I'm just, everything's delayed, and flashing strobe lights and loud music and being on a stage in front of people is not ideal.
Because that's a big trigger for seizures, like flashing lights.
Yeah.
And now you've gone back into the live music arena.
Well, this is the thing, right? So if you see me play a gig or something, I wear a hat now.
Okay.
And I it's not a gimmick thing, wearing a hat and looking cool or anything like. It's to stop.
It's a seizure protection device.
Yeah, because it was either that or sunglasses.
Yeah. Or that TISM band with
a balaclava. Which actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But
does that help though, or is that
yes,
not enough?
It does.
Okay.
So it kind of cuts it all out, and I pull it down low. So that when that happened, my seizure on stage, I wasn't aware, and they just had, I think, 3 strobes, just constantly going the whole time. So anyway, I was playing, and I slowly was just out of time. I was like half a second behind the band the whole time, and I just could feel it it creeps up my arm and into my chest and in my face.
Like the numbness.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you aware that this is happening? So that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Like you can't control it, but you know it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, those dreams you have when, I don't know, you go to work and you're naked for some reason, or so, like it's the worst of the. It was one of those scenarios. But we got through it.
What instrument do you play?
So just singing and playing guitar.
A bass solo.
Yeah.
Something else in the band.
Well, I'll remember that for next time.
That could be the if you know it's
if the hat doesn't work.
If you know it's coming on, you just say bass solo. Everyone
just walk off.
Band knows, like okay.
Yeah. Have my seizure and come back out.
Break time randomly. Didn't we just have an intermission a few songs ago?
Yeah.
But it's. What about the sound guy? Does the sound guy know?
He knew after it, I think. But that was, I think it was over a year ago.
Okay, so that's not something that's bothering
No, I kind of worked it out straight away. I was like, okay. But there's a few things, like if you're not sleeping or your diet's bad, it can increase your chance. But since then I've kind of created some boundaries and go from there really. So I'm doing a little down south tour. When I turn up, I'll give them the gist, and so if it's like backlit going forward, that's cool. But I can't
they can't be beaming into your eyes.
Yeah, which a lot of places do.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
I guess if other people know, they possibly could work. They'll work around that, right?
Yeah, and everyone's pretty cool. No one intentionally wants to
shine a light in your eyes.
Yeah, are you sure?
Next minute, you've got these weird people coming to the
I'm just waking up.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What other challenges have you had in the last few months?
A lot. So since I don't know how to put this. So I kind of came out of the whole out of hospital and recouping and stuff, and then it was still COVID and all that kind of madness.
So when your original injury happened, it was 2020. Is that right?
I think 2021, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was like peak.
Yep. Peak maximum COVID hysteria.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You can say that now without being lynched.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
won't be banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then obviously, you know, I believe certain institutions leveraged that to raise prices of things, which were still kind of suffering now. Just in regards to rent and
okay, sorry, I thought you meant like medical procedures.
Cost of cost of living and just general stuff, right?
Yeah.
It seems like
of course,
from that point,
it's happening worldwide.
Yeah,
That's a bit of a coincidence that it's
yes,
happening worldwide.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
and that it's a thing that everyone's struggling with now. It's a big struggle.
Oh, absolutely. So I came out of hospital, and my house I basically lost where I lived because I couldn't afford it because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just to put it in perspective, like before that, it's around that same time I had a rental of a house, and it was like I would have just called it Perth's shittiest rental.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the ones where you get where they're crappy. I didn't need to. I spend so much time at work. I don't stay there a lot.
Yeah.
No aircon, no security on the things. $250 a week for the whole house.
It's cozy,
right? Yeah, exactly. Cozy, a cozy home. Yeah.
You hear that word, you know exactly what it is.
You know what?
Yeah.
Rustic.
Yeah.
Like
character.
Yeah, character home. In the heart of a ghetto. Like it was either in the rougher side of Bayswater.
Okay.
So not too dangerous or anything.
Yeah.
But and I mean, I was very fortunate that I was able to stay there for as long as possible. The people sold that, but like that kind of a property would go for $650 a week now.
Oh,
and it's just and there'd be people lining up to take it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's unaffordable.
Yeah.
So many people they can't. Yeah. That's.
It's dog eat dog.
Isn't it? Like.
Yeah.
I think Perth has the lowest vacancy rate in the world.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Of rentals.
Yeah.
So it's just madness. Like.
Yeah.
You're competing with people that are coming along and just offering cash in extra other extra things
straight away.
Yeah,
that's happened a lot to me as well. Same thing. And so I got priced out, and then I learnt very quickly while recovering, still early days, in my life, who's who.
Okay.
You learn pretty quick when big things happen. And then
really got you back, and who's in there, who was just hanging around, and
absolutely. And then I guess because of the scenario I'm in, I have to kind of create a new, basically restructure my entire life, and create new boundaries and this, and maybe it doesn't gel with some people and whatnot, but anyway, the rent thing, so I bounced around doing that, and then I bought a van and basically lived out of that for the last couple of years.
Hashtag van life.
Oh, van life.
Are you still doing van life, or
van life? I kind of, but not really. At the moment, I'm just settled for a little bit before I kind of take off again. Van life. I never bought into the whole kind of van life in a bikini posing for pictures on Instagram because I don't look good in a bikini. Okay. But reality, it's it's kind of rough, but it's what you make of it as well. But I'm a pretty simple person. I think I don't need massive luxuries or anything. it's just weather-wise and things like that. So winter's pretty tough living in a van.
Freezing, right?
Yeah, it's cold. But I've kind of, like, it's not, in the beginning it was just the van, but I built it into, like, I've got insulation and soundproofing. And so it was a work site while I was living in it. So it wasn't the best. So you're sleeping in sawdust. And,
oh, no.
Yeah.
Right, but you've probably got some good tips on how to live in a van.
Oh, I could, absolutely, yeah. But then I it's weird because you have these horrible things happen to you, and people fall away, and new people come in. But I've realised, I kind of made an entire new life with entirely new set of people who are amazing. Yep. And it's funny because they're all musicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that before?
No.
Okay.
No. Not to this extent anyway. I was basically living in a van out the front of a studio while I was recording my next couple of releases. Okay. So in a way it was kind of ideal. Rough, but ideal.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so you've had the challenge of the home and the discombobulation of where you're living and all that, and like obviously you weren't probably working all that time.
No, well this is the thing, I can't work. People I think people look at me, well no, certain people look at me and there's nothing wrong with you, get back to work. And this is the whole stigma about brain injury, because if I can hold a conversation and walk from here to there, surely there's nothing going wrong. But I think the thing with brain injury that people don't see, if I do, like, I'll do this now and then I'll jump in the van and head off, and then I'll sleep for 2 hours because I'm done for the day now.
Yeah, we had a friend, well, I had a close friend who had 2 strokes very young.
Okay.
And he didn't realise himself how much fatigue he would have.
Yeah.
And he ended up not being able to, like, he was a very high capacity person, and it just really took him out, just the fatigue.
Oh,
people don't see it, and he didn't have any stroke symptoms, like very, very little speech impairment and things like that. But people just think, exactly, just get back.
Yeah,
right, you know,
it's because there's no physical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you sort of in the space of, I mean, I guess by doing this you're raising awareness, but are you in the space of raising awareness about that, or are you involved in communities of people that do that? Or
I'm not involved in, because I'm not a very social person, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You've got a lot going on. Is there awareness being raised for that? Are there groups?
There are, and I kind of see it trickling in through, even like with AFL and sport now. Okay. People are kind of catching on that. Smacking your head together isn't good for you long term, and stuff like that. Even in the surfing world, a lot of guys starting to wear helmets, and it's one of those things. Until it happens to you, then you kind of got no idea what it is.
What are the things that you worry about now? Like you said, you could get a seizure at any time.
Yeah.
What else do you worry about happening or concerns you?
You have these kind of leftover feelings of if you have a headache or something, you think, oh, okay,
here it goes again.
Yeah. I'm bleeding inside of my head again, because I had migraines growing up my entire life and just ignored them.
And did they say that could have been anything?
Not. I didn't really have those conversations with doctors, because I came out and I was. Yeah, okay, I couldn't even talk or do anything. So, but when I look back, I go, oh wow, I was there the whole time. Passing out. Yep. And a lot of things that people are just kind of, are you partying too hard or this or that?
Yeah, especially being in the music world, people might just think, oh, you're drugged out, or you've had a bit too much.
Yeah, 100%.
And maybe not look after you in just think, oh yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
Like he'll come good.
Yeah, it's just, it's party time. But it's it's a bit different. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you get headaches still now?
Yeah. For the first 6 months of recovery, it was just a permanent headache, 24/7. It just, I thought that's what life was going to be like, just with this constant headache. And it's not like a headache. It's really, really bad. But that's gotten better. But when they do crop up, that feeling comes back again. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But it's like anything. I think the longer it goes, you just kind of ride the wave a little bit and let it go. Yeah. What's going to happen is going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the funny thing about almost dying. You kind of come to terms with it and you're okay with it. Not trying to be morbid or anything.
No, I like the morbid.
Well,
I don't mind that.
I think it's weird because
I laugh about it, but I think we need to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, we hide away from it, and then we freak out when it happens. Yeah. So I've kind of had a glimpse.
Did you get a near-death experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened?
So I kind of, it wasn't. It's really hard to explain. It's not a thing where you're aware you're in a different place. It's just like a continuation of now. Yep. So how do I explain it? I was under a bridge with a group of people, and I don't know. Like I've talked about it, but then when I sit with it, I think it's a thing for me.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Like it's personal.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't want to go too far into it, but
Was it like, did it feel like a dream, or did it feel like something different?
No, it felt very real.
Okay.
So real that when I kind of could talk, I was asking everybody, where are they?
Yeah, right.
And later on, it would, certain moments, it kind of comes back.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to work out what it means.
Yeah.
I guess, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't have any...
You don't have to share that with the entire world.
Well, I kind of got halfway through it.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about it a bit more, but then I thought, you know, I think we overexposed too much anyway, you know? Yeah. So...
but something happened, right? Something unique happened at that time.
It definitely happened. And it kind of comes and goes every now and then to make sure that I understand.
Yeah, right. Reconnect you with that.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be cryptic. There was no like walk toward the light kind of stuff like that. I think when you get to that, whatever that is, that in-between stage, whatever you see, say if you were religious and you're a Christian, you're going to see Jesus, or if you're this, Muhammad, or blah, 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 you know, pick your own adventure kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my roots and what I believe in, that's what I connected to, you know. But I think it's all the same thing at the end of the day. Yeah. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
No, it does. And I think it's interesting for people to sort of, I don't know, hear that, like, someone might have had a similar experience of that, but they might not have heard that expressed. Or because we are, I think, bombarded by that image of, it's going to be a light, it's going to be a tunnel. And
I think if you do that, it's like preemptive advertising. You know,
so
what
you probably like you said, because you think, I'm going to see that, that's what you see.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because that's what it's almost like in real life anyway, you know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. So what's been happening with your music? You said you've been working on a new single. Towards an album? Are you... So
I've got 4 or 5 songs ready to go, and I'm just going to kind of, what do they call it now? Waterfall release. Yeah.
Nice. Put them out there for the world to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Graduated stage.
Yeah, so I've got one coming out on the 20th of September.
Yep.
Called Breaking the Chain. That's the first one. And then I'll just kind of release one every couple of months.
Yep. And you've got a couple of gigs. We might as well just mention them now.
Yeah.
If you're in Perth or Bunbury, WA, we've got Bunbury, Prince of Wales, Thursday the 26th of September. I'll put these things in a link in the description below, or in the comments if you're on YouTube. That's the easiest way to see it. Margaret River, The River.
Yeah.
Friday the 4th of October. So you got 2 gigs.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's Breaking the Chain. Yeah, we'll put all the links to that stuff in there. Do you want to talk about the song now?
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome song.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, and you've played every instrument on there again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I like to make it as hard as I can on myself.
Yeah. Because when we chatted last time, you were saying that was the challenge, to learn how to replay all those instruments.
Yeah.
Was that another part of this? Was there more relearning to do them at this level?
Yes. There's always relearning. It's just I like playing in a band, but I like kind of seeing something through the way I can hear it on my own as well.
Yeah.
So kind of best of both worlds at the moment.
And when you write those songs, do you do all those parts yourself, or do you let the band members come up with those parts and then?
Oh, when we're recording or playing live?
When you come up with the songs, like do you work with the band to write the songs as well, or you just write all the songs by yourself?
With the stuff recorded, I kind of give that to the band, and then we kind of riff a few things out and see what works and what doesn't, and go from. It's not strict. Yeah.
But on the recording, you've played all the band's not playing those things.
No,
that's just all you.
Yeah, that's all me. Yeah.
And was this a different level of it? I mean, the song sounds like it was at a different level to the previous, the first release you had.
Oh, really?
Oh,
good. Hopefully a better level.
Yeah, better. Yeah, not a different level. It's in a worse level. A better level.
You've gone downhill.
So people should conk you on the head more often. So were there different things that you put, because you said you like to challenge yourself, was there different things you said, I'm going to do this time that I couldn't do before?
Yeah. There were actually, like vocally, some of the way I sung with the first one, it was still very early, and it was hurting my head to sing.
Yeah. This is the Long Way Home.
Yeah. And I still remember, it's hard to explain.
Because of the injury, right? Could you feel it reverbing in
yes,
your head?
Yeah. And I could hear my own voice in my head distorted.
Yeah.
And it was like it was bouncing off the side.
Has that gone away now?
It kind of comes and goes. So that's one of those things, like you're just riding a wave now.
Is that pitch related? Certain pitches do that, or it's just good?
I think, it's more of an aggression thing or intensity.
Yep.
If you're yelling and screaming, which not screaming, but the way I kind of, it's hard rock, So the intensity when that's there, kind of sometimes it can hurt, So just overcoming all those little things, and because I record it by myself as well, so it's hard to have any compass of where you're at. Do you know what I mean?
So you rely on the producer to sort of tell
Well,
you?
I am the producer.
Oh, so you're doing the producer.
Yeah, I do everything.
Okay. Oh, okay. So who checks?
That's what I mean.
Who checks you then? Anyone?
No.
Oh.
Well, that's why it's hard.
So what do you mean? You went to a recording studio and you just said, "Record me," and then I'm going to do all the mixing and the producing myself.
No, so okay. So with this release, I was in the van,
Yep.
and I was living next to a studio.
Yep.
11.
Yep. He said, "I'll be the cleaner."
It's called 11.
And the next thing you know, you're making an album in the nighttime.
Well, yeah. No, it's a beautiful place. Yeah, it's an amazing place. Great set of people who run it as well.
Okay.
So very lucky to just kind of have 24/7 access and just if I'm feeling good, get in there and get it done. So that's what I did. I'd kind of go in, hit record, play, press stop, listen to it back. Okay, that's no good. Do it again. So the engineer putting the mic in place.
You're doing all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, because I just had assumed that.
No, and I've always done it. I
that.
did this. Well, I've always done it that way. So it's the same with the last single, and then the EP before is the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just how I do it.
Okay. Pretty amazing. But do you? I guess so. You just have to. I mean, the song sounds amazing, so you've done a great job of it. But it must be hard if you're sort of second guessing. You're second guessing. Like.
Yeah. That's it took a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Do you send takes off to other people?
I've got
let friends check it.
Yeah. I give to people and they say, that works or not. But at the end of the day, you just kind of go with your gut.
Yeah.
But
that in itself must be training your brain back to how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You're getting it right in the end.
Yeah. There are, there's definitely, I do get stuck in kind of loops where I'm just spinning wheels and going nowhere for weeks.
Pressing a button.
Yeah, hitting like just over and over, going crazy. But I did that before.
Yeah, okay. That must be just part. I think that's part of lots of people's process.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So how long would it take you to record and do, like, from that song, from, let's say you thought of it, you got the idea
to put it all together? I think that one was a year.
Right.
Yeah.
In cahoots with doing other songs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a year you've got 5 songs.
Well, I think over the last, well, when did I see you last?
It was a year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yeah.
Well, since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since then you've gone from only being able to do 1 song to now you've done 5 songs.
Yeah.
Kind of on the go.
I've never looked at it like that before.
That's great.
So that's that's cool.
Increase.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just finished it, and then with Long Way Home, I was incredibly lucky because I don't mix it, so I like mixing's an entire game that I almost don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because it takes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like playing music's like being a magician. The magic is just a sleight of hand and their tricks.
Yeah.
You know the chords, you know how to do it right, and it's still fun. And then mixing is a whole other thing. But I'd like to give it to people who have been mixing for 10, 20 years already, because they're going to be way ahead of me just bumbling around for. Yeah. I wouldn't be sitting here now if I was mixing it. It wouldn't be done. I'd still be.
So there is someone else involved.
Yeah.
In the process, and they would probably be able to hear things like, maybe not that you've played it wrong or out of tune or something, but it's more like that level's too high. Or you might not be able to detect that even if you wanted to.
Yeah, just getting the cohesiveness of the actual song and the bottom end, and just the presentation.
Yeah.
So with Long Way Home, I had Darren Middleton from Powderfinger.
Yeah.
He mixed that last one.
Yeah.
And then on this next single, Forrester, who's done like She Had, Carnival, Cog, Sunk Light, like amazing bands that I love. So I was very stoked when I got that back. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it is
cool.
what it is.
Awesome.
Sounds good. I'm happy with
Yeah.
it, you know?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, if people want to support you in your music, like, what, how can they do that? Like, they want to support you in your journey, like,
Yeah.
you know, they want to support you in your music. How can they do that?
It's pretty simple. It can even be a like on social media or a share. It doesn't have to be handing money over, you know?
Money's better.
Money's good. Money's good.
Yeah. Like that stuff does help for sure. Like
it
sharing
does,
and
yeah.
liking and share it. Like commenting. It helps the algorithm even push your music out more.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to drive people to Spotify or Bandcamp or what avenues?
Yeah, I kind of look at just any streaming kind of thing. It's not for me. I don't look at that like I'm going to earn a living off that because it's rigged not to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if people watching this don't know how much you get paid, what are we at now? 0.005 cents on
like that,
Spotify per play.
And they just changed it that you can't even get any money till you get 1,000 streams.
Yeah,
so you get nothing until you get.
You got to hit 1,000 before you start.
You need that $3.50.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I look at that more as an advertisement for the song.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by where do you want people to go?
Yeah, okay.
Do you prefer them to go to Spotify or just wherever they go?
I'm kind of at a point. I'm just happy if people enjoy it and listen to it. You know, to be honest, if it was about money, I would have given up a long time ago. Yep. Probably would be a lot easier too, you know. Yep. But I think if you're artistic.
But people could support you by gigs and stuff as well.
Like for sure. Like if they want to come down to the tour and the shows, that's where it's at, you know.
Yep.
That'd be amazing.
I've seen you've been doing some live shows in Perth.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And you'd probably advertise those on your Facebook. Or
Absolutely, yeah. They can check it out in all the usual places. Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah.
That's good.
Give me a sandwich. That'd be good.
Give him a sandwich.
One sandwich equals...
One like equals one sandwich?
Yeah, or 10,000 streams on Spotify for a sandwich. I'll take a sandwich.
Yeah, right.
You know, because the 0.005 probably adds up to, what, $4 or something? I don't know.
10,000 streams equals one sandwich. Yeah, well, sandwiches are going up now. Can't get a sandwich for like $10.
Yeah, that's the other problem.
Mate, they don't put inflation. They haven't adjusted Spotify for inflation either. Like it's gone down.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It should be the amount you get should be going up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a thing that I don't know. Obviously we can't change that in a podcast or anything like that. But it is a frustration that lots of people have. And obviously what drives you to do music is the love of the music. Yeah,
it's just a weird thing. I don't know if you're the same, but if I don't do it, something's off, you know?
It's who you are, part of yourself.
It's just an outlet. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be doing something that's probably not good for anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, or just mowing a lawn on a Sunday and just doing the Truman Show thing.
Looking into the dome of where I am. Enclosed in my little area.
You know, just creativity, whatever it is. Like,
do you have other creative pursuits that you do?
I do. I like bonsai.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Bonsais are cool.
Yeah.
Do you have them in your van?
Not in the van, but I do have them. That I just surfing, just being outdoors, anything outside really. Yep. Yeah. And
have you been able to go back to surfing since the injury?
Yeah, I've been surfing quite a few times since, which was interesting.
Does it help you with your balance and your coordination?
Well, in the beginning it was it was kind of hard to get. I was just paranoid about hitting my head. Yep. So, and even just falling into water, because if you're traveling at a speed, and water can be like concrete sometimes when you hit it, you know. But it's one of those.
Was you worried that it would have been re-injured you?
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, you have this thing where I've got a second chance, so I don't want to wrap myself in a little ball and.
Yep. You got to live your life.
Yeah, yeah. I rather kind of go out doing something like surfing than sitting at home and watching the news and being scared about what's going on in the world or what they're telling us is going on in the world.
Yeah. All right. And anything else that you've been doing for your recovery, like with with your music and your recovery, sort of? Is there anything specifically that you've been doing that has helped you? Do you do exercises or therapies, or do you just try to you're just living your life and that's doing your recovery?
I'm to be honest, like I'd like to say, I'm doing this and that, but I've like the last couple of years have been pretty hectic, so it's just kind of survival, but just being grateful for the little moments, like if I'm surfing or it's a nice day and just simple stuff. That's my takeaway from being in a wheelchair and being stuck in hospital and just watching the whole world go by and you're just stuck. And I remember thinking, if I ever get out of this, I'm not going to go back to my old life. Hence getting going back and surfing and stuff like that. It scared the shit out of me, but I've got to go and do it. Even just recently, because I was spending a bit of time down Margaret River and Gracetown and stuff like that. And I remember just I think the last surf I had, when I paddled out, it was just far too big.
Right.
I was way out of my depths. Because it's one thing watching it from the car park, and then you actually paddle out, and okay, this is where we're at. Just that feeling of being not being in control.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
You like that feeling, or that's not right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, because that's what surfing is, being in control of not being in control. And because the ocean's doing its own thing regardless of you. It doesn't care about you.
It's like, oh, you jumped in, let me
accommodate
that.
So you have to work with the rips and the currents and I like that. It's very humbling, when you think you got it all together and you miss the big shot.
Yeah.
You got to paddle out there and realise you're nothing.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that kind of message part of what you put in your song? Because I noticed this song was kind of a bit more, I don't know, quite meaningful.
Yeah. I think with this new song, it's about, I was trying to think I don't know if you have this thing, when I make music, I don't think what it's about. I just get it out. Yep. And then it's not until these things happen, I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? What's it about?
Yeah. No, I normally just go, I'm going to write a song about the government.
Yeah, well, I've got plenty of those. Yeah. God, you could write millions of those, couldn't you?
Yeah. I was doing one the other day at the studio, and I had to do the vocals for it, and I said, by the way, Rob, this is about the government. He goes, yeah, I know. in case you didn't pick up on that.
He got the vibe.
Yeah.
That was what the foot stomping was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always feel like it's going to change something, but they haven't. But I feel like they are.
But that's the thing with music, it kind of does, I think I have a theory that that's why they make it so bland and beige in school. Like any art, artistic endeavour in school. It's like you think about how the broad spectrum of music you've got classical, blues, reggae, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got meditation music. Then you go into frequencies and it can just go on forever.
Yeah.
And when I was at school, it was so mundane and boring.
I mean, when they teach you music,
yeah,
or just in general? Oh,
at
right.
school.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
okay, yeah.
I think it's purposely boring and mundane for a reason.
Right, that makes sense though. Yeah, I mean, I always think about like look back in society when you had geniuses who were well beyond what we could even have now, like someone like Mozart or Bach or something like that. And often those people were just taught in that gifted area, and they were allowed to do that from such a young age, and that's all they were doing.
Focus on your strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned violin when I was little, and we used to always have, Mum used to always let us go to sleep listening to stories, like on tapes and stuff. And so she would find all kinds of stories for us to listen to or read them onto tapes. And we used to listen to the story of Paganini, which was how he was locked in his room for 4 hours a day to practice.
Wow.
I mean, it's a bit sad because his dad was trying to make money out of him because they were poor, and he was obviously a bit of a genius, so they used to bring him out as the show.
It's like a Michael Jackson.
Yeah, exactly, like a Michael Jackson. But he kind of became so amazing because he was just, that's all you were doing. And you think about if you let kids just be amazingly good at, like they were allowed to spend all their time doing something they were really good at. Imagine how, like, is that why we don't have any geniuses now? I sometimes think about that.
Yeah. Well, you think about the education system. It's not there to create artistic people. It's there to create a workforce.
Yeah. I mean, it almost just pushes that out of you. Like, I went to a music school in high school.
Yeah.
And that made me hate music.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking hated it. It was like, you know.
I had the same thing.
There was no classes teaching you how to make your own music.
Yeah.
Like, express yourself with your music. No. Like, oh, you didn't play that properly. I'm sorry about that. Like.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Or you get 20 keyboards and everyone's learning the theme song to Mission Impossible, and you're just like, "Is this it?
Is this it?" Yeah. Is this my life? Is this what? Yeah, and that's yeah. I don't know. It's just, you're right. I never thought about that with the school stuff because it never bothered me in school because I already started learning music.
Okay.
And, I remember. The teacher pulled out the recorders.
Oh, can you imagine? Yeah, whatever happened to them? Can you imagine pulling out used recorders that, and you got to get all the spit out of the recorder from 100 other kids, and then put it in your mouth?
Everyone got their own one though. Like they had it for the whole semester, and then they probably had to bring it back to the school. But I had my mum write me a special note to say that I wasn't allowed to play the recorder.
Oh, really?
Because I was a violinist. And so they let me sit at the back of the room on
and
the
it worked?
xylophone.
It worked?
There was only one xylophone.
Oh, wow.
And my mum was like, oh, we didn't spend all this money on violin lessons. Like, she didn't want to write that letter, but I made her write. So I was like, Mum, you have to make it sound as if I don't want to play this recorder. They can't force me to do that. Like, I just used to sit in the back of the room and say, you can't force me to play this recorder.
Why did they pick recorder?
Because they're cheap. They're
$5
things.
I didn't even think about that.
They're super cheap, everyone. I mean, it's better than having no music in your life in a way.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
They're cheap and they're easy to play. Like, you can... Every kid can probably get their fingers over a massive hole and make some kind of a tune out of it, right?
Yeah.
And they don't probably break very easily. Like, you know, go in your school bag and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't see the recorder ever. Do you ever see someone Spotify like featuring the recorder? Like, it's not a song that.
Well, funny you should say that because my next single is just all recorders. I just layered recorders.
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah.
I mean, that when I was at school once, when I was at the music school, someone did have a massive recorder. Like, it was there is a proper.
Oh, right.
One of
okay.
Like the daddy recorder.
Just offended the whole community.
Probably it's like a recorder community. But yeah, I mean, they'd be better off with now that the cheapness of those little ukuleles. That would be more fun. Imagine a whole school ukulele band.
Yeah.
It'd be harder for them to learn something.
Yeah.
But like recorders never go out of tune.
Yeah, that's the thing with
that's probably why.
stringed instruments, because
Yeah, like
you've got to get the pressure right. You got to get it in the right spot.
Like my mum let me learn violin when I was little, but they didn't know anything about tuning them. So we would go for weeks and weeks if it was on holidays between the teacher, where we would just be playing this out of tune, and no one was. And then someone would come to our house that could tune it. And my mum would be like, "Oh, could you tune their violin?" They were like, "How can you live with this?" And my mum was just like, "Oh, they're so cute when they play." You know, so it was lucky she didn't care, because it would have been horrible if she did care about that. She just let us play.
Do you think that's
right?
good? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you learn how to tune it eventually, but it is hard for little kids to have something where. So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Yeah. I still think in the big picture, like having creative people.
Well, they never teach you how to create something. Does the school ever teach kids how to make something from nothing, really? I mean, you sort of did that in art, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, where they were like... But most of the time in art, you're taught you have to copy something else first.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. You have to do something. You have to know how to, I don't know, draw a circle before you can imagine something new, I guess. But, like, yeah, you're right. I don't think... If schools had a lesson in how to be creative... teach you how to use that skill of creativity, like how do you draw upon, like how do you get new ideas even if you can't think of a new idea. Like that should be a lesson.
Even just having just for an outlet, so you're not going to the pub and punching people in the face because you're angry for no reason, and you don't know how to channel that into something positive. I mean, even discovering who you are, like strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. Like for kids, I mean, that would be cool. Or maybe that's what those Montessori kids do. Yeah. You got what's the other one? Steiner, all that kind of stuff.
Anyway, changing the world. Various ideas.
One podcast at a time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
On that note.
Make sure you share the show. Should have said that at the start. People probably aren't watching anymore.
Well, we've offended the recorder community enough.
They've all switched off.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are sponsored by $5 recorders from Temu.
They're amazing. Yeah. I wouldn't use anything less.
Every time I think of a recorder, I think of this.
Oh, I was running late because I was practicing in the car.
Such a great band life.
It's amazing.
Instrument.
Just in your pocket and away you go.
Yeah. Might that be a cool thing, like a pocket recorder?
Pocket recorder. Yeah.
It's called a whistle. It's little kids' whistles. Yeah. All right.
One day.
Yeah. I mean, I've always also thought this is a bit of a random question, but why don't they make any new instruments now?
Because we don't need to anymore. We got AI. That's what we were talking about, right?
I mean, I guess, but like, why haven't they created a new thing? Like, they just make like a guitar that's a keyboard or something, but what about a new instrument that is just a new instrument?
It's almost like getting a toaster and reinventing it and putting an alarm clock on it.
Yeah. The guitar.
Well, where do you go?
But like, have we reached the limit of all the things that can create those notes? That's what I'm saying. Like, you've got strings that can create, like, you pluck a string and a note comes. You blow a thing and a note comes. Like.
Have you seen the guitars that they're like MIDI guitars now?
No.
And you play it and you can choose your preset sound. Okay. And it'll sound like a piano I don't know. But it's that merging technology thing. I don't know. I'm just old school. I like the... Yeah, but that's what I mean by like, where's like, I mean, there's some instruments we don't really have anymore, like the lute or something. Those medieval instruments. But like, why don't they make it? Why don't they come up with something? Well, maybe it's the wrong time. Maybe when society becomes evil again. Yeah. Which,
when the AI takes over computers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have any music.
That's when old grandpa goes, all right, get out the lute.
Yeah. Hey, kids dust it off. He's like, whoa, what's this, Granddad?
I've been waiting.
Yeah. It's a recorder.
Yeah, great.
It's like in the dust, in the ashes, the only thing that survives from the nuclear attack.
Yeah, you got
Plastic
Terminators.
recorder.
Yeah. You got to play them really quiet. You wake up the Terminators.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Do you feel like AI influences your music in a negative way, a positive way, any way?
Has no influence on my music at all. But just seeing it about is, it's weird, isn't it? Starting to slowly kind of drift in and watching people. I don't know. What is it? I was talking to a mate this morning about just technology in general and how I think it's a bit... I don't think we're at the peak of humanity when people talk about this is the highest we've ever been and blah. Okay. We only draw those conclusions with what we know. Right? Yep. And we only know what we're taught to know to a certain degree. It sounds paranoid, but who's to say this doesn't get wiped like every so often and we just start again and that's happened 100 times. Like, how would we know? We won't. I don't know. Yeah. We need the guy from Jurassic Park and the paleontologists to come out and find the loots and buried recorders from hundreds of years ago and go, you're wrong, mate.
Yeah. Okay. So that's possible. You mean like a simulation, sort of like it's.
I don't know.
Yeah. You think we might have peaked in our knowledge in previous generations? And
who's to say we haven't? Yeah. You know, it's that. Well,
there's already lost knowledge now.
Oh, 100%.
That people are going to, like, let's say 10 years from now, there's stuff that you know or that your parents knew that people just will not know how to do.
Yeah.
And if they lost the internet, they'll be like, how do I, like, building things and, like just the randomest things that, where does stuff come from? Oh, it comes from IKEA. No, people have to make that desk. Like, how do you do, like, even basic things like, you know.
Yeah, where'd that apple come from?
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole...
Why do they grow on trees? That sounds weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do you get things to growing in things in season?
Just basic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that relates back to school, right?
Yeah.
Just simple stuff like changing a car tyre, doing your tax. What is tax?
What is tax? Join us for another episode of What is Taxes for? Yeah. Anyway, don't get me right up on that.
I'm just trying to inspire your next anti-government song because I'm all for it.
I'm already thinking about it.
I'm all for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I want to ask you about in your song because I was thinking about some of your lyrics. Like when you say you got a ticket to ride, is that like a little nod to the Beatles?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's two things because there's definitely that, and it's very obvious.
Yeah, because it repeats it quite a few times.
And I did that intentionally.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you picked up on that. Yeah. What was the other thing for that? Oh, and for me, you know, it kind of has a dual meaning. So it's the little kind of nod to the Beatles.
Yeah.
But it's also within the context of the song, it's like it's kind of a pay-to-play situation that we're in.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. I've got my ticket.
Yeah, you've got to pay your ticket to get on the ride, and that ride is the world, you know. But then you've got to pay the ticket to get to the other ticket machine to go to that ticket, and then you find out you got the wrong ticket, so you got to go back to and get that. That's kind of what that alludes to, just the spider web of bureaucracy and red tape.
And has that always been something that you've had in your songs before?
Yeah.
It's just who you are.
We're on the same page with how we think about the government.
I always want to start another show or another podcast, and I'm like, oh, should you do that? Should I?
We can do it now.
No, it's been cancelled straight away. Like what I really think, like,
yeah. That's what you should call it. What I really think.
That's what I was thinking about calling my next album.
Yeah.
Because like I usually just insinuate it, but obviously quite strongly in some songs more than others.
Yeah.
But it's been funny to me where I've released some songs thinking, oh, this is like to me this is like a big fuck you to the government, and then other people are like, oh, it just reminded me of some other thing that happened in their life, or something completely not what that was about. And I was like, oh, that's great for them. Like, it's good.
But that's the thing with music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's transcendental.
Yeah. Like you think when you hear the song, it means something.
Yeah.
Then I'll hear it, the same song, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
And then the person who wrote it's like, well, you both lost it because it's not about any of those
Yeah.
things. It's actually about flutes.
Yeah. Recorders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also in your song you said, "Not a slave." What's that in reference to?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Personal relationships. It could be with your mates in the government.
Yeah. But is it also in relation to what's going on with your injury? Like, not a slave to that?
Yeah. It's I'll find my way, right?
Yeah.
So it's with the way you think as well. It's kind of about that, you know.
Yeah, not a slave to the machine trying to make you think a certain way.
Yeah.
Program you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say you got to pay for your ticket to get on the ride. There's two ways you can. Well, there's a million ways you can think about it, but at the end of the day, for yourself, you want the positive mindset, and it's not easy. And I can preach about it and be a complete hypocrite about it, but ideally, that's kind of what that's about. You know, in an ideal world.
Yeah, it's like you've got to make a conscious decision about it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're declaring it like you're not a slave, but you've got to tell yourself that all the time because it's so easy to just get caught up in what's going on.
Yeah, it's very easy. Yeah. Especially today as well. I guess the song in general was just the feeling of being kind of bounced around. And then within that machine and buying your tickets, just trying to keep your own mental clarity.
Yeah, like that personal autonomy,
responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read 1984.
I think I've listened to enough podcasts about it to almost feel like I've read it, but it's on my list of things to read. I have not read it.
When he's writing in the diary, because you're not allowed to keep personal opinions or anything like that anymore, and he's got to hide it in the wall behind the brickwork, and that's just him keeping himself sane in an insane world. You know, this is my version of keeping myself sane in an insane world. Yeah.
Oh, such a great song. So if you want to keep your sanity, you got to listen to it.
And buy me a sandwich.
Stream it. Buy him a sandwich. Buy him more than a sandwich. So check out the gigs coming up on 26th of September, the 4th of October. You can follow Laurie Luke on Instagram, Spotify, Facebook. Buy him a sandwich. Buy him a sanger.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put a little bit of the song in the show somewhere here, so you'll get to hear it. Little snippet, little sample.
Cool.
Cool. And what's next for you then?
Next we are hitting the road, do those shows, and then rinse and repeat. Do it all again with the next single. Okay. And just
so there'll be more coming. So
it's the next one's ready to go.
Buy your ticket.
Buy a ticket. Ticket to ride.
Get on the train. Yeah, good. I'm so glad to have you here again.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your music with the world and sharing your story with people.
Thank you.
It's very important. And so we wish you all the best in the next bit, and check out Laurie's shows and his music, and thank you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on Spotify, give us a rating. So it helps as well. All right, thank you, everyone.
Ciao.
The Good Vibes Show. So good. The Good Vibes, the Good Vibes Show. You gotta be good. The Good Vibes Show. Nothing but a good vibe.
And a news flash, it's been reported that the world is feeling nothing but good vibes for the first time in world history.